Sight study of various materials and textures. Vehicles. The drawing of a car is aided by starting with a human figure. The roof of the car is drawn at chest height and the top of the wheel housing is half of this height. The front wheel fits within the wheel well and three wheel widths separated from the rear wheel. The underside of the door panels occurs at the midpoint of the wheels, or roughly a third of the overall height. The window sill is 1/3 down from the top. The hood and trunk slope down from the line of the window sill, one wheel width beyond the wheels at both ends. The rear post may be located directly above the rear wheel, and the front post is drawn at an angle of 45 degrees through the center of the front tire. The car in perspective observes the same basic proportions. Again, begin with a figure. The top is drawn chest high and the sill 1/3 down. A sweeping line curves to form a wheel housing over the wheels, the underside of the door panels occurring at the midpoint of the wheels. The rear posts are drawn with the far one at about 45 degrees and the near one almost vertical. Draw the car in elevation. A. Draw the roof line at chest height. The wheel housing is half of that height and the wheels are three wheel widths apart. B. Draw the sill 1/3 down from the roof. The underside of the body occurs at the middle of the wheels. C. Slope the roof posts. The rear post above the rear wheel and the front post at 45 degrees from the front axle. At D. Add people inside, doors and fenders. Drawing the front elevation of the car. A. Draw the roof of the car at chest height. The width is about 1 1/4 times the height. B. The wheels are placed at the outer edge and roof posts slope inward towards the top. Darkened interior, the underside and the wheel wells. The wheels are given some depth. At this point, some detail may be added, such as bumpers, door line cracks, and lights. The proper placement of the wheels is important to the convincing delineation of a car. The circle in perspective is the ellipse, and this is the basis for laying out wheels. The long axis of the ellipse lies at 90 degrees angle to the axle laid out in perspective. Strive for simplicity in the depiction of cars and other vehicles. It is often enough to select a few key strokes of the pen that will quickly suggest the idea of a car, the roof line, wheel housing and wheels, and perhaps the sill line. Similarly, a complicated scene of a parking lot need not to be laboriously rendered. Rather, draw one good car in the foreground and suggest the row of cars beyond with roof shapes, mirrors, and darkened interiors. Drawing the car in perspective. A. Draw the roof at chest height and then the sill 1/3 down. B. Curve the wheel housing over the wheels with the underside of the body occurring at the middle of the wheels. C. Draw the far roof posts at an angle of about 45 degrees and the near posts almost vertical. D. Darkened interior, the underside and the far wheels. Wheels are drawn as ellipses in which the long axis is at right angle to the line of the axle. Sketch cars to learn their forms and proportions, then simplify their lines for workshop drawings. Familiar objects are the most difficult. Study vehicles to learn which fewest possible lines suggest important features. Curving line over wheels, roof, dark interior, and dark underside. Using the figure to establish a consistent eye line height and a measure to construct various vehicles, motorcycle, camper, and jeep. Pickup trucks and vans are drawn using the human figure as a measure. Note also the use of shadow to make the vehicles appear to rest properly on the roadway. Large trucks such as tankers and semi-trailers have their own characteristics which can be learned through observation. Judge their size relative to the figure. Represent traffic and parked vehicles with reference to the eye line of the figure. Developing a street scene. A. Set the initial car at chest height with the main features of roof, curved wheel housing, front bumper, and dark interior. B. The traffic beyond is represented quickly by a tangle of roof shapes, darkened interiors, and headlights. C. The scene is completed with simple indications of urban lamps, trees, facades, and paving. Color on figures is spotted among the crowd. Note the dominance of blue and red in the clothing. Coloring occurs after the creation of the initial black and white drawing. Color denotes materials and indicates area of glazing. A drawing colored by participants. Yellow indicates the light source as well as materials. People and cars drawn in silhouette against the light areas. Large white areas beside color to add luminosity to a night scene. Color highlights circulation on a conceptual plan. Brightly colored people harmonize the architectural drawing. Color in this concept drawing helps participants to imagine the experience of their ideas. Indicate bicycles as two ellipses joined by a simple frame. There is no need to draw the wheel spokes. Cars and bicycles represented in a workshop scene. Source: High River, Alberta. Boats are also part of the graphic vocabulary of vehicles. Rowboats, powerboats, and sailboats each have their own distinctive shapes. Dockside scenes need not be intimidating if analyzed in their parts. Hull shapes and sails are almost always white. The vertical lines of the masts stand in contrast to the horizontal plane of the darkened water. Use an imaginary rectilinear box as a guide to constructing the complex carving shapes of boat hulls. A marina scene. A. Begin with one carefully drawn boat in the foreground. B. Other boats are represented by a jumble of masts, rigging, dark windows, and light hull shapes. 9. Drawing in color. Use of color in a co-design image. In the final stage of drawing, the ideas and suggestions come more and more slowly. The group is very happy and proud of what it has generated, and the sketch seems essentially complete. Now the fun really begins. It's time to add color. This is the stage where all the participants can get involved in a drawing by choosing a color marker and adding their own indelible imprint on the drawing. They can really make it their own. The advantages of adding color. Often the essential hard information in a co-design sketch is contained in a black and white line sketch, but there are many important reasons for adding color to the drawing. 1. Color adds liveliness and action to the sketch. The brilliant, eye-catching colors capture the excitement of the workshop event, even when viewed months later. 2. Color adds vital information, especially about the desired atmosphere and mood. Is the wall brightly painted or finished in muted pastels? Do the workshop participants want a quiet, warm space in which to relax, or an exciting, stimulating environment? Color helps the drawing answer these questions. By encouraging workshop participants to take over the drawing and add color themselves, co-design helps them realize they really are the authors of the sketch. 4. Color makes a messy drawing easier to read, and co-design drawings are often messy. The simple addition of a blue sky can profile the intended silhouette of building shapes and help show the heights. Color applied to brick pavings, especially where it meets vertical walls, for example, can define quickly an otherwise indistinguishable floor surface. When to use color. In a co-design workshop setting, it is best to leave the addition of color until the last stages of drawing. At the start of a sketch, there is enough to do simply keeping up with the ideas that are called out using a black marker alone. Color is very important, but using it too early in a drawing will only complicate the flow of ideas and interfere with the ability of the artist to sketch out the group's ideas quickly and effortlessly. Leave the color until the sketch is almost complete and the group has nearly exhausted its design ideas. Drawing medium. From long experience and much experimentation, co-design artists have found permanent felt markers to be the best medium for color. Chalk pastels work adequately, and they certainly allow a person to shade in large areas quickly using the side of the chalk, but they lack the punch of markers. Colored pencils are too weak looking and thin. For best results, use broad-tipped markers. With markers, the choice of paper is important. For marker colors to become very bright and crisp without bleeding, a special vellum must be used, although it tends to be expensive. The A2 size is best for workshop use and allows the evaluation sheets and PE sheets to be attached conveniently to the side of the finished sketch. Mount individual sheets on foam core backing board prior to starting the drawing. It should also be mentioned that in time, the colored drawing will begin to fade, another reason for recording images in report form. The basic paint box. In practice, few colors are necessary. The 10 listed below are adequate to indicate sky, water, brick, wood, foliage, and paving stones, for example. People's clothing, including the omnipresent blue jeans, cars, and signs can be rendered effectively using the primary colors blue, red, and yellow. These basic colors are all you really want, even to indicate night scenes. Each co-design artist should be equipped at the workshop with the following felt pen colors. Color: black. Uses: laying out, line work, shadows, night scenes. Red: signs, people's clothing. Dark blue: water, blue jeans, dark skies. Light blue: skies, water. Dark green: foliage, clothing. Light green: foliage, clothing. Light yellow: signs, lighting at night, clothing, wood siding. Brown: brick, veneer and paving. Dark wood. Light brown: light wood, wall surfaces, flooring. Light gray: shadows, paving, blending other colors. Each group in the workshop should be equipped at the start with these basic colors. To organize the markers at workshop, sort the colors into Ziploc bags, each containing the 7 basic colors, and place one bag at each of the artist station at the beginning of the design sessions. Aside from making it easier to keep track of the markers and keeping them from inadvertently staining clothing and furniture, this keeps them from drying out from one workshop to the next. Inevitably, some drawings will require additional colors to those listed. Several people in one group might all want to use the same color at once, or a special feature may require a special color. Keep a box of miscellaneous marker colors in the center of the workshop hall for use by all. Successful techniques in marker coloring. In practice, the actual application of color to a co-design drawing is done by all the group participants after the sketch is drawn in black felt pen by the artist. It is wonderful to see everyone, young and old alike, lose all inhibitions and intently shade in the drawing in coloring book fashion. What they lack in skill they make up for in vigor. Often, however, adults are reluctant at first to begin coloring the sketch that they have created as a group. They are afraid of ruining it, or they consider coloring to be child's activity. The artist should start the ball rolling by doing at least a little of the coloring. First, though, make sure that the group is indeed through with creating the image itself. This is sometimes hard to judge exactly because people will often continue to suggest minor improvements or modifications to the drawing almost indefinitely. Try asking the participants if what's shown is more or less complete. If the answer is yes, then suggest they add some color. In any case, don't draw for more than, say, a half an hour before getting into the coloring phase. As an artist, begin the coloring phase by shading in the more prominent features in a drawing, especially those that are difficult for the amateur to render effectively, such as foliage or windows. Use the marker boldly. Keep it simple and don't attempt to color in the whole sketch. Color added to perhaps 1/4 of the sketch with the rest remaining white is usually plenty. As soon as convenient, hand the markers over to the other members of the group. Place the drawing on a chair seat where everyone can get at it, and encourage the others to add their own bit of color. After perhaps 10 or 15 minutes, extract the drawing from their grasp, even it means interrupting their intense work. Help the participants sign it and tape the drawing on the wall for all to see. The role as artist is complete. It's time to take a coffee break or start over again in a new drawing. A practice drawing by co-design artists representing a night scene of crowds at different levels. Depicting night scenes. The need for night scenes. 90% of all co-design drawing will be daytime scenes, but participants will ask for nighttime scenes. Often the look of a place at night is ignored, yet the nightlife is such an important ingredient of the project design. Theater districts, shopping streets, outdoor cafes and malls often don't really come alive until after dark. Workshop drawing of a night scene. Source: High River, Alberta.